Good evening. Thank you all for joining us for tonight's INCOSE Washington Metropolitan Area monthly meeting. My name is Dr. LaWanda Studevant. I'm the president for the chapter. We will have a few administrative updates for you. Go to the next slide, please. If you are just joining us for the first time, or even if not, if you just want to say hello, feel free to use our comment section. We have been getting to know one another here in the room. If you're not speaking, please mute your phone or your microphone on your computer. And we look forward to all of you all networking, all of us networking with each other as we go forward. Please use the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so tonight's agenda is as follows. I will share a few bits of information with you all. Each of the committee chairs will also report out on what they have been working on the past month. And we have a presentation this evening by Christopher Hoffman. And the title is, "What is this SEBok thing anyway?" And then we'll touch on a few next steps for the chapter. All right, so I wanted to give a shout out to Dr. Sean Naw, who is our vice president, and he has been also added to the next cohort for INCOSE WMA TLI cohort. And so this is where the system engineers can learn more about how to be an effective technical leader. The next item is I have been participating along with Mary Burley, our membership chair, on the Circle Award Working Group meetings. And we have been, and it hasn't been officially announced yet, but we have won an award. So that will be coming out soon. Thanks to all the chapter members, board members, thank you all for your participation. And then also wanted to speak to service to our membership. We are looking forward to engaging closer with you. You'll be hearing more from our membership chair, Dr. Mary Burley. And given the current climate that we are in, we also thought of an event that we are planning, which will provide mock interviews and resume reviews so that we can help those that, due to the changes in our job market, people are moving about and looking for jobs at all levels, early career, mid-career, late career, and so the college students, of course. And so we are planning to have a session or maybe two where we would have mock interviews and resume reviews so that we can help our system engineers in our community. And then the next item here is to continue to collaborate with our INCOSE student chapters. And so more of that is going on with regards to George Washington University, George Mason University, and Virginia Tech. And we are also reaching out beyond those three to other student chapters, to create other student chapters in the area. We are also working on a SEP certification prep course or SEP series of courses to help those who are interested in becoming SEP certified. If you have an ASEP or CSEP and would like to be an instructor, we do have a couple slots in the August timeframe for these courses. The courses will start in June, and so you'll see some information coming out. We are collaborating and working with the Northern Texas chapter, INCOSE chapter. So be on the lookout for that information. Here is a list of our 2025 board members here at SEBok. I'm not going to go through all the names, but they are there for you. We're a resource. Feel free to reach out and reach out to us if you have any questions or need information, need help in any way with regards to systems engineering. And then we also have our student chapters listed there as well as our board members here in the area. And we'll just slide through the student chapters. Here's the George Mason University student chapter, the George Washington University chapter. All right, and so I will turn it over at this time to our membership chair to welcome the new members that have joined in the month of April.
Thank you, Dr. Studevant. Good evening, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our new members, and those are new members as of April. I'm not going to go down every name here for our April members, but I would just like to say welcome to all of you. Please reach out to me if you have any questions regarding INCOSE, and look forward to receiving some communication from me very shortly. And here are our new SEP certifications. And I'd like to congratulate all of our WMA chapter members who have achieved their SEP certifications. So in April, we have 2 individuals that received their CSEP. That would be Lawrence Bonsar, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and Ralph Reservoir. And then for our Associate Systems Engineering Professional, the ASEP certifications, we have Jason McCoy, Christopher Nupp, Laura Papa, Garrett Evans, Andrew Boateng, Christopher Huff, and Camille Cobb. So let's give a virtual clap and an in-person clap for those individuals who received their SEP certification.
All right, it's my turn. So, hey everyone, I'm Dr. Tika Rai. I'm chair of the Ambassador Committee. That's good news. It's my third board meeting. But I cannot do it because I'm new card anymore, I believe. And I have made some progress, which I'm going to share in a minute. I have a few slides to talk to those updates, but it would not have been possible if collaboration from the board members and expanded team within the INCOSE WMA was there. I'm speaking away from the speaker. Thank you.
Should be great.
Got it. Thank you. Check. All right. So as the ambassador role, I was trying to see, which membership basis I could go out and start having conversation to help engagement, if I may, with the parentship, with child or childrenships out there, particularly the CAB member categories of 2. One is student chapters, the other one is the in general non-academic institution CAB members. The other slide's going to talk about that, but out of the 3, like Madam President already mentioned, in the 3 universities, I did actually have meetings with Zara, who is the incoming president for the student chapter at GNU, and also with SEFA, with VT. George Washington University, however, I still haven't heard back, but look forward to. So I had a great meeting with both leaders. They are so happy and excited to hear from us and what awaits forward, in terms of engagement. And we talked about different ideas, which I'm going to share at the final slide. Interestingly, some of the ideas came from those university leaders are pretty similar. So I'm quite excited. It's more uniform in a way when the inputs came that way. As far as other academic potential CAB members go, Johns Hopkins, I reached out to them as well, but I have not heard back. For Howard University, Morgan State, UMD, Madam President had already initiated contact. I have followed up. Only UMD has responded, and I have a call with them on June the 2nd. Yes. So I have a quick question to the board here. So once I have a meeting with UMD faculty members and program leaders, if they want to present to our board meeting, I would like to know when the slot will be available, in future months, So if it's all booked for the whole year, that's okay. We can come up with other slots, that'd be great too. Just to let me so I can communicate back to UMB leaders saying, hey, this month, this hour, you can come and present about your program. I think that's going to be a great start after that point onward. Okay, next slide, please. And as far as PAP members go, and especially the reps, all first three are actually happen to be the former president of the chapter. Thank you, board members, for introducing me to those three people. If you look at the second column, I have just reached out to the third, Don York, from SAIC just today, and hopefully I'm going to hear back from him too. So the purpose of the communication is quite different than the institutions, right? Academic institution, that is more understanding, what are their needs that we can fulfill to help the teams or the talents grow professionally in systems engineering, right? So what kind of programs we may have to communicate with them periodically, and also provide opportunities to join our events, our meeting, our English chapter events, so they can meet their peers, build networks as such. So those are the objectives. And lastly, also I'm asking those reps to introduce the chapter with other potential CAB members who are not the members just yet. So that's what that first table talks about. And the other imagery you see on the bottom on the right is for my own reference as to monitor how am I going in terms of quarterly broken down phases. And coincidentally, Q2 was the plan to actually come up with a program plan, and that aligns well with what our vice president mentioned about for all committee members to come up with a plan. So I'm well on target for that one. And the right column is basically a feedback loop. I need to identify with collaboration why we're reaching out to those potential members or members, and who are they, and how, those kind of things. Okay, next slide. All right, so these are the common actually inputs from the university leaders. So first, they're very happy to share about members count, how they're increasing every year. And also, during the conversation, we talked about we can map out potential graduates, who would end up working in the DMV area. I think that'd be great point of entry for them and for me to collaborate with the membership committee and get them already engaged in the communications, right? The second, the chapters, direct collaboration opportunities to support the chapter events, for example, right? So in the fall, both BT and GMU are transferring the leadership, and I have proposed that me, and in addition to other board members who can go during that time, we can go and actually acknowledge the incoming leaders, congratulate them and celebrate the event, and also potentially start, talk programs or panel discussions in certain systems engineering topic or the industry topic. They are very excited because these kind of ideas are materializing down the road. So very excited for that too. Now, collaboration within the chapter as well. And it's been going great. I'm just going to summarize. I don't want to take too much time. And actually two items we talked about with the student leaders are following, So how about we can potentially start an award, like annual award, Our student chapters would come and compete, what kind of application they use in systems engineering, their capstone project, right? That's for the board member to discuss, and hopefully there's a budget for that, and there's logistic piece that we can manage. And the other one is how about student chapters themselves collaborate through, for example, periodic meeting to share about lessons learned in their chapter, what they did really well, and what are the projects that are ongoing, with these students. So they are very excited to collaborate, in the chapter level as well. And lastly, I would really want our chapter to periodically recognize them, appreciate them, and celebrate what they achieve, right? And support, some of the things they can improve upon. So these are the things that we discuss, and both university leadership have a common finding. So we talked about. And lastly, the next slide, please. And this is to appreciate the industry internal collaboration, right? The membership chair, programs, event, for all these respective activities, for membership, newly graduating students, how we can, I already mentioned, have earlier conversation to help them join our chapter. And new member orientation, that's something we're pretty excited because we haven't done in the past. So when new members like yourself today, if we have just recently joined, we would like to have an orientation just to get to know more, talk more about the program, get your inputs, right? As far as program goes, I mentioned earlier, proposal, how about annual systems engineering awards? Maybe, we can plan about. And sharing the calendar events, what happens in the chapter level, what happens to the student chapters level, and how we communicate those calendars and share those periodically. And finally, the communications. I know, Paul, thank you for collaboration, so any events that happen with us or the student chapters or going forward CAPS, how we can share in our social channel or footprint, for example, or through email. That's something we have already started to collaborate so this can happen on a timely manner. And I think that's it. So quite a progress. So thank you.
Thanks, Tika. So, Paul DeMarco, Communications Chair. I don't have a ton of updates this month. However, we decided to open a new social media account. So we recently joined Blue Sky. Actually use Blue Sky, but it's an alternative to X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And as I said, I'm going to try and join a few other social media outreaches across the year to try and, because not everybody uses the same suite. So if you are a member of Blue Sky, be sure to follow us at INCOSE.WMA.bsky.social.
All right, next we have the newsletter editor, Nalini. Are you on the line? If not, as you see here on the slide, here is the schedule of events that will lead us to our second issue of the newsletter. We are seeking articles, any information that you would like to share that is related to systems engineering. If you could provide your information to Nalini, his email is there on the slide by May 31st, and we will incorporate what you send to us in the newsletter. So I just wanted to share, if you could just take a look at the dates that are in the red box and send any material that you would like to contribute by May 31st. Thank you so much. And then the next slide is for our program chair, Richira. Are you on the line? I can't see who's.
No, I don't believe she's online.
Okay. So in lieu of our program chair, you see the list of the meetings and the presenters that we've had thus far. And so today, as I mentioned, we will be hearing from Christopher Hoffman, and then next month, Dr. Jimmy McEver will speak to us regarding tech ops and other related working group leaders, such as Cameo, Metro, and System Architect. If you have someone in mind that you think has a great system engineering topic that would be good for our chapter, feel free to send that information to us. We would love to hear what you have and incorporate any presenters that you may have. All right, our next chair is the event chair. Kathleen, are you on the line?
Good evening. Yes, I'm here. My name is Kathleen Flynn, and I am the event coordinator. And I'm excited to announce our upcoming Q2 membership event. In honor of the 250th anniversary of the United States Army, we're going to take a tour of the National Museum of the U.S. Army. And we're going to meet as a group and then learn all about the history and information through engaging exhibits that the museum has to offer. I will post the link to sign up in the chat. Thanks to those who've signed up already, I'll be sending out some additional information about the event. Otherwise, I hope to see you there. It promises to be an informative and interesting event. We can move to the next slide. If you're interested in helping to plan an event, if you have an idea for an engaging opportunity for our membership, please reach out to me at this email that's listed here. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Back to you, Dr. Studevant.
You always enjoy hearing about our upcoming events and things that Ms. Flynn has planned for us. So next we have our Director at Large, Dr. Hung Soo, and he has several bits of information that he would like to share with us. Dr. Soo, over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Madam President. So we have a couple of items with the PMI WTC. The first one is a workshop that's scheduled for this weekend. If you're interested in it, let me know. Next slide, please. We have a new initiative in the professional development functional area. I'm the Vice President for professional development for PMI WTC. This is my last year at that, and I'm trying to lead some legacy programs. And one of them is the community of practice program. Basically, it's an opportunity for people who are interested in a particular subject area, and they get to work together and learn from each other. And so we have one that Dr. Tikara is in charge of, and that is systems thinking in program management. And he has a webinar scheduled later on this month. And I think there'll be a slide up on that. We have a second one that's being worked that should be of some interest to us, and that is program management and systems engineering collaboration. This is where you get someone who's a program manager person linked up with a technical person, and they, as a team, would go out and work with the customer to deliver the products that needs to be delivered. And the person that is going to be the moderator of that is an engineer, but he is really a program manager, and he's going to be coming back to us sometime in the near future to go and solicit members from INCOSE chapter to go and work with him to go and put this thing together. Now, I told him that we do have folks who are in PMI WC who are INCOSE members, and I will give him a list of those people that I know. But he wanted to come back over to the chapter to go and get some other people to get involved, and I told him he should try to go do that. And this will be a great way of tying in folks who normally are not associated with PMI WC to work together. So they're going. His plan is to pull the team together to do some brainstorming, to go and determine what they want to do, and then come out with a program for next year to be launched. I think that's a great idea. And I think one of the objects of that particular COP may be a working group, right? So there's a difference between a COP and a working group. A COP is everybody's in there, they're learning, they have a good time, there's no deliverable. A working group has deliverables. There's things that they're supposed to do with some time.
Right.
And so I think that that's where he's headed, and that'd be a good thing. And the question will be, what is it that INCOSE WMA and PMI can do to the largest organizations in their professional area to further PMSE collaboration? And it could be nothing more than changing and information, briefing each other's professional organizations on a periodic basis. Tika and I did this 3 years ago. Okay, all the people that we talked to are not here anymore. Right, so we give the same briefing, and it'll be new to them, right? And so this is something that needs to be done, I think. And Kyle is looking to try to do a tutorial on PMSE collaboration, and so there is some interest in that. We need to figure out how to go do that.
Right.
Okay, next slide, please. Done.
All right, thank you so much. Always a wealth of information. So our time is fixed this evening. We are now ready to hear from our presenter this evening, Christopher Hoffman. He is a certified expert systems engineering professional and ESEP with 27 plus years at Cummins Incorporated, if I remember correctly. He is a strategic thinker who translates vision into reality. He has a proven track record of leading multidisciplinary teams to develop complex product systems in multiple domains and guiding the strategy for over 1,300 software tools, improving that portfolio's effective value year over year. As the Senior Principal Enterprise Architect, Chris is spearheading the development of a modernized enterprise architecture strategy, fostering collaboration across IT and the business, and mentoring architects. He is a lifelong learner. Chris is the current SEBokWiki.org Managing Director and INCOSE CAB representative for Cummins. Chris, if you are ready, we are ready to hear your presentation.
I am ready. Can you hear me okay in the room and online?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. After hearing you read that about me, that's really drippy. So just ignore it. I'm a farmer guy from Midwestern Indiana and originally hailing from Ohio. So, but appreciate that. Let me share my screen here. Nicole is also joining us online. She's probably not going to be able to participate so much, but she'll step in if she needs to. We do have a challenge just with Wi-Fi where she's at the moment. So
Okay.
I think is my screen coming through? And
Yes.
thank you. And then I will also be monitoring the chat on Zoom. So if anybody has any things that they'd like to ask, interrupt, or what have you, please feel free to type them in, raise your hand, shout out loud, whatever. So what is the SEBok thing anyway? The Systems Engineering Book of Knowledge anyway. And oh, by the way, what was it? How much time do we have for this? My apologies, I didn't catch that.
So, sure, about 45 minutes or so.
Oh, perfect. That will do just fine. Just wanted to make sure I keep my timer in check here. Okay, so let's go ahead and there's a contact information for SEBok in general down there, and of course the URL if anyone wants to go there if you've never heard of it before. Today's topics that we're planning to go over are just a SEBok overview. What the heck is it? How is it structured? How to use it a little bit. So a couple of tips and tricks that I've found that are useful that some folks may not be aware of. What's coming up this year? And then we'll get some questions and answers as well. Now the Q&A is actually blended in. So I encourage you all, grab your favorite device and hopefully you can get to Menti. But we have a survey for you and we'll be doing this throughout tonight's event, this session. And we'll have a few questions on there. So again, it's I'll see if I can put the link up and there's the menti.com link in the chat. So if you can click it there, or you can do it on the screen and shoot it with your phone. And once you log in, or you really don't have to log in, once you open that page, it should look something like this. How is your week going so far? And so I am going to say chaotic but good. I actually talked my own chapter last night on a intro to systems architecture topic last night. So tonight I get to talk to you guys. This is fun. I get 2 and cozy things in 1 week. It's amazing. A good week. We're up to 19 or so answers, and we've got, what's my number, 27-ish online. Does anybody need the code still? Good. And yeah, definitely for the stressful, many of us have that week. I know Nicole is in that space right now. She's got some changes coming up that I know is always fun, or can be fun, can be stressful, can be both. I'm going to go back to the slides. There it is. Okay, so I think, Nicole, whenever you're ready, we can flip to the next question. And so what has your level of engagement with SEBok been to date? Whoops, apologies for that. So anything from what's the SEBok? I've heard of it, but never used it. I've used it once or twice. I've recommended it to a few people. I continually promote SEBok. Thank you very much if that's you. And I promote and contribute to the SEBok, like as an author, as a reviewer, however that might be, as an editorial board member, as a managing editor. Hence, that's why I'm going to click that button. So this is great. Yeah, we've got a good portion of you, over half of us that have answered, have used it once or twice. And 15 out of us, 15 out of 8, a good portion of you have used it, recommended it, continually promote it. So awesome. Okay, I think. And we're definitely here for you. Yeah. Hopefully you guys are watching the chat as well as I'm reading Nicole's comments. She's adding some more context and color to our conversation here today. So I think we have one more question on this one. Not. Go ahead and Nicole, if we can promote the next slide. And this is a short answer question. So we're through with the multiple choice. It's time for you to type. What do you believe is the value of SEBok? And I'll definitely give you more time for this one. I feel like an instructor here. Roadblock challenge does it work? We've heard that voice before. Always great to hear that. Glad we can be of service. References to help get certified. I like this. I like the phrasing here. Short nuggets with pointers to deeper treatment of key topics. To share SE knowledge is easily accessible by anyone. No firewall, no paywall, no nothing like that. That's in our corporation papers or whatever you want to call it. That's kind of the rules of our place here. Good source of SE knowledge from industry experts and authorities. Awesome. Thanks for that. I am actually not going to submit an answer here. Skip. Okay. And I think that would be our last question for the beginning here. So thank you all for your input, and certainly thank you for sharing that and giving us some data and all of that sort of stuff. Especially for what you believe the value is. It's always great to understand, again, who's the audience that we're talking to, what's your familiarity with SEBok, and then, of course, as we continually try to serve our stakeholders around the world, who you're going to hear about here in a little bit, we definitely want to figure out and make sure that we're actually meeting and maintaining the value delivery that you have expressed, as well as others, and also try to grow it as much as we can in terms of usage. Speaking of usage, for the last year, we've had over 600,000 page views of SEBok. Out of those page views, we had almost 280,000 unique visitors to our site, and the individual pages within it. Speaking of those pages, from those unique visitors, over 8.6 million page views of our SEBok content, and then I'm sorry, these next two numbers are to date the life of the SEBok, if you will, from when it launched in 2012 to the end of last year. We're pushing over 8.6 million page views and over 3.5 million users, unique users. And then with those visits in 2024, of those visitors and those unique page views, over 400,000 visits of those throughout the year. So impressions, if you will, or whatever that number gets calculated with the analytics that are in the background. And then over about 4.3 million plus total visits to date. So gets used, and we appreciate that, and we're always happy to make that number go bigger. Just to give you an idea of, well, okay, those are the users, but what are you guys shooting for? What does success look like? What's your, and one way to express that is our vision. So SEBok is the guide to the body of knowledge of systems engineering. So it is not the body of knowledge, it's a guide. So it, again, provides awareness, context, and resources on the key topics that are relevant to systems engineering, as well as references for different views when appropriate. So if there's new, evolving, emerging areas, or if an area particular has not been settled, if you will, with the consensus or some sort of centralized focus on this is how we actually think about this and what we call it and how we think it should be done. SEBok is intended to show multiple perspectives. That diversity helps our practice grow, and it also kind of finds out where for users that are out there, it's like, oh, I'm looking for the answer. Well, we may not be able to give you the answer, but we can give you several descriptions of how people have approached this in the past and how it's being thought about by our thought leaders across the globe. It will be the global reference for systems engineering with current references and insights on theory, application, and practice. So you should see a balance throughout the SEBok content. It should not read exactly like your systems engineering handbook that we use for certification, or nor will it read directly like a presentation that you might see at one of our forums, like the INCOSE workshop or the INCOSE symposium. Somewhere betwixt those two is where you'll be finding it. We also have, sorry, get my laser pointer out here, virtual laser pointer. But we also have on the INCOSE website and perhaps on your own, we always appreciate folks pointing to the SEBok from, we have it here under the top menu under publications, and so there's a whole page on SEBok. And so we're, again, cross-promoting as much as we can. We also have our social media accounts. Again, not a massive user on some of those, but we do appreciate the advertisement and support. Just to give you a perspective of where are all of these users coming from for SEBok, for at least 2024 of those users and page views, over 208 countries, and that stays pretty standard over the last several years about how many people, who's accessing from where. Now the top 10 or so do shuffle every once in a while. And so we do have a majority in the US, of course, then India and UK, Australia, China, and Germany, Canada, Philippines, Indonesia, and France. And so these shuffle around throughout the years, and you'll get, ups and downs and whatnot. And then this also has been used to inform some of the INCOSE strategy, the INCOSE central strategy about where are our particular emerging systems engineers, if you will, and trying to amplify and attain the vision of INCOSE as the full strategy there. And so this is just a data point. Of course, we don't lead all of that, but it is a data point to where all of our users are coming from. There is some cyclicity to our page views. If you're so interested in this and you want to dive into the analytics, we always are happy to help have some insights into how our pages and our content is used and consumed. And you can see some rolling waves there, if you will. We think it's certainly because we do have academics that use SEBok as references for some of their classes for their students, and they mention it. And so, of course, you see in the summertime, maybe not so much, but then there's a spike in the fall and when semesters start. And so there's some things going on there that has been, at least that's the current hypothesis right now, and it seems to be holding water. And of the pages that folks hit quite often within SEBok, of course, the homepage, it's the default you get. So that gives the most views. But beyond that, many of the interesting areas that folks are looking at are the types of systems. The handbook is always a popular page view. Perhaps people think they're going to get the SE handbook there, but no, we actually point them to in the INCOSE store. The types of models. Logical architecture still is a very popular page. Downloading the PDF. So not everybody prefers to use the SEBok in its live wiki page sort of format, but they will download the PDF of the SEBok and use that. Sometimes they mark it up or use it for class or however they wish to do it. I even had somebody tell me at the workshop this year, they put it on, I don't know if they put it on Kindle or they had some sort of app that they did for their e-reader. And it was very friendly for them there. System reliability, availability, maintainability, stakeholder needs, and system verification. So see some of the major topics there that kind of at least folks are interested in at the moment. Lifetime use of SEBok, just another chart of the same. You can see we're kind of on an upward curve. And the different series here in terms of page views and unique visitors, we had a bump here. That's when Google changed their analytics engine and the countings changed a little bit throughout the years. And so there's a little bit of a bump there for the correction. So that's a little bit about kind of usage. The next is, okay, the structure of the SEBok. And so I don't see any questions at the moment. So if anybody has any, we'll get into those here in a little bit. Let me change over to a Zoom button here and just teach you a little bit about the organizational structure of the SEBok. So first off, we have the introduction. So this is, again, it basically sets up the overview of the role and value of systems engineering and then of the SEBok. Within there is a few user stories or journeys, if you will, that, you know, as this persona, as a new engineer, new systems engineer, or an engineer that is young to systems engineering, let me classify it that way, how might you use the SEBok? Or if you happen to be a leader of systems engineering in your company or in your area or your domain, how might you use it? Or if you're an academic, or if you're a student, or a few other characteristics in there, personas that we have baked in so that folks get a kickstart, if you will, about how SEBok was designed to be used. Foundations, this is where you get into some of the system science fun and the foundationals of systems engineering and systems knowledge and how it relates to systems engineering. So this is where we actually have a great partner in ISSS with Gary Smith as as our part lead editor here. And so with his role currently as the president of ISSS, it's a really great partnership to get some of those things in there, as well as everybody else in the area that's doing stuff about foundations. Systems engineering and management, kind of the node in the middle, if you will. This is the core, the crux. This is what you would look into: the technical processes, the life cycles, practices, and all of the stuff you would see in the SE handbook, 15288, etc. So all of those process areas. This is, I would say, the crux of it all. So one of our largest sections, as you might guess. Part 4 gets into applications of systems engineering. And how do I go after and, yeah, thank you, Nicole. And definitely intended to be agnostic or generic, not only what you see in 15288 or not only what you see in our handbook for INCOSE. Applications, different places in which systems engineering is applied and how that might look and how it might be tailored and so on and so forth. Part 5 is enabling systems engineering. So again, we all know you can't get value just by a process, nor just by technology or tooling. Well, how do you train up folks? How do you get their competencies to where they need to be? How about teams of people? How about the full enterprise? For example, the new working group in INCOSE, how to enabling systems engineering, is going to be participating even more so in this particular section in the near future as their working group creates products that might be able to be referenced. Related disciplines in part 6, you mentioned PMI earlier. This is where you'd see references to PMBOK and Digital Engineering BOK. Actually, I don't know if I've got that one in there yet. But a few of the other books of knowledge that you will be pointing to, or other disciplines that are involved in the life cycle and how we work with them in partnership. And then part 7 gets into implementation examples, case studies, if you will. So that's a little bit about the structure of the SEBok. We actually do have a page on it. So here's a URL to the structure of the SEBok if you really want to dive into it even more and understand kind of our logical structure and actually physical structure here. We are supported. It's not just Nicole and I, of course, by a full editorial board. These editors, I'm serving as the managing editor, trying to get the day-to-day operations done. Nicole is our editor-in-chief, setting the vision, the strategy, and kind of the big chief right there, helping us with all of this coordination. She also happens to have part 1 as a part editor, but you'll see we have lead editors and assistant editors around for each part of the SEBok. We are in transition, if you will. We have this amazing team working on each of these individual parts from their specialties, and in some cases there are associate editors that focus on a few of their parts. For example, in part 4, we've got Judith and Mike that are very focused on systems of systems, and so that's kind of their subsection, if you will, of part 4, and a few other areas. We are always looking for more support, more engagement, and as you see, I've got Cliff here for part 7. He's shaded out. Cliff will be stepping down. Part 3, we have a transition there as well. David Endler is starting after we do this release here next week. He'll be starting as the lead editor for part 3 with Phyllis and Cecilia helping out there. We do have 2 additional areas with Ray Manichi and David Endler. Ray is focused on digital engineering, and these are cross-cutting teams, hence the little dashed line there. No legend, my apologies. But the cross-cutting part editors, if you will, they don't own one particular part or steward it. They're looking at the entire SEBok and how do, for example, a lot of the SEBok still reads very document-centric. Not enough digital engineering, model-based engineering, if you will, or however you might think about that, embedded in our articles throughout. And so Ray has a team. They actually kicked off this week, or was it last week? I'm losing track of time. It's been a busy week or two, as I answered in the first or second question today. But they're working on looking at the SEBok from the overall perspective. David also has a subset of folks that are working on standards and how do standards interplay throughout the SEBok and where do we need to make some updates. Most appropriately, they focused on kicking off the assessment of 15288, the latest release, and how that blends throughout here, as well as some of the other standards that we are engaged with and making sure that we have updated information that the references are good, and we have body content that is updated as well. Other than names, here's our smiling faces, our mugshots, if you will. And so if you happen to see any of these folks when you're in three-dimensional space or on virtual online, please say hi and feel free to engage them directly about the SEBok. That's part of their volunteer jobs. And we really appreciate the engagement on however you might be able to give it. I think the other note I think I wanted to say about our part leads and associate editors and authors even of these parts is not limited to INCOSE folks. Actually, we encourage some more different perspectives, if you will, from around the world. So folks from IEEE, I would love to have other folks from SAE or any of the other societies or any just professionals that are out there that have a real passion and some expertise in these areas. More views are better so that we can get this information disseminated and pointed to in the SEBok. And just to read out loud what Nicole posted on the chat. If anyone really on this call has the interest, or know of somebody who does have interest, we are absolutely looking for a new lead for part 7. And this is where you would find examples of systems engineering in real life, as I had shown here. So those implementation examples. So how has SEBok been used in the world? Or systems engineering. How has systems engineering, my apologies, been used in the world? In good ways, in great ways, and perhaps not so great ways, and so on and so forth. How to use the SEBok? Just a few snippets here. It was great to see over half of you are using it, but if not more. At the top right of the SEBok page, any page, all of them have it, is a search box. It's not super fancy, but it does work pretty powerfully for the wiki. But there are some rules of it. One rule is it's case sensitive. So if you type in systems analysis and approach, or just systems analysis, or whatever words you might say, but it's a lowercase, it may not find the actual article. So try to do your capitalization. That's kind of the habit of how these pages are done, is with capitals of the words, capitalized words. So go ahead and use that. It'll still find the stuff if you just do capitalization, whatever, and you'll see down here in the containing section, that's how it would show up, and then it'll take you to a page, and then you can click on what makes sense to you and then go to it. This is just kind of I would say a shortcut time saver, if you will. If you're worried about, instead of 2 clicks, you just want to do 1 click, that'll save you 50% of your time. Which I think I had more on that page. The other bit is if you're not a searcher and you prefer structured content finding, on the left-hand side of the SEBok, there's this navigator window, if you will, table of contents, and it's expandable. So click, smash the plus button or box on each of these pages or knowledge articles, and they will expand, and then they will show you the different articles that you can then click on, and then it'll load in the main pane, window pane of the SEBok browser window. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, hopefully pretty straightforward. And you'll see here, these are some of those users and uses of the SEBok. And so we have a few of those articles for guidance, and it'll teach you a little bit about how to actually go through it. And back to those use cases, as I mentioned earlier, here's just the bits of it. So again, the table of contents, you can look at the whole table of contents if you'd like to look at it expanded. You don't have to keep clicking these plus buttons. You can just hit the table of contents page and you'll see it blown out for you. And of course, click again, number 2, and then you can go over and it'll load this page for guidance for systems engineering novices. And it brings you through kind of the intro case of how do you do this. And you'll see at most pages, you'll see a contents outline of that page. And so for this particular one, you'll see it goes about learning the basic terms, learning about a few other things, exploring, reading studies for later reading. And all of our pages have this references at the bottom of works cited. Hopefully obvious. Those are the areas and references that have been cited in the article explicitly. And then primary references, which are, hey, if you actually want to learn about this topic, read this in more depth. And then additional references would be, again, just bonus points if you read those. One of our, we certainly have gotten several questions over the years. You'll see one of our most popular questions that we get asked is, wait a minute, what's the relationship between handbook and SEBok? And so I need to put the picture in here. Nicole, thank you for sending it to me a while back. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But in terms of how these compendiums, these information evolves and informs each other and then have a feedback loop. And so it's this dynamics model, if you will, between these references and such. So SEBok doesn't replace the handbook. We do have some folks that use it for the classes and kind of almost treat it like a handbook. I saw that in some of your answers today. That's okay, using it as an aid for somebody doing their SEP. But of course, please be clear that it is not the body of knowledge for certification, if you will. And so, as you probably saw from some of the players there, the editors, we do have team members that are on both products, and we can absolutely try to keep them aligned. And so, SEBok is really to provide guidance on the broad and diverse literature around systems engineering. And so, as I mentioned earlier, we describe these perspectives and approaches, and we try not to say this one's the right way, this one's the wrong way. If you find that, let me know. Well, Nicole and I know, and we'll take care of it so that we stay within our bounds, if you will, of our guide style guide. Well, I think this is close to the last topic section of what is the SEBok thing anyway. So what are we doing this year? Really what we start out, this is our release timeline. The next release, we actually have a release next week. Knock on wood. My desk is wood. I'm knocking on it. We'll hit that on Monday. The next release of the SEBok, we do a twice a year release. It's in mid-November. It follows kind of a similar date pattern. So we work with our part leads and other authors and try to understand, okay, what's the proposed SEBok content? That's the date that we make sure we try to have that in our discussed within our editorial board. All of this, of course, starts with what needs to be satisfied. Do we have source material? Basically, if somebody wants to write about something, needs to be published already. And then we kind of do a summary or a pointer to that information. And then if there's, hopefully we have committed authors and engaged editors that then make this happen. We go through some intellectual property forms, we get our table of content updated and do the making the sausage, if you will, of making the SEBok. And then signing off on it and then getting the reviews and publishing. Plus or minus some days based on demands and whatnot. So that's kind of the release timeline. There should be another one coming out here shortly. So what's in it? These are the updates that are coming in this next version, version 2.12. Part 2, we got some system science axioms added in. Lots of changes to part 3. Config management has some major changes and additional changes to better align with the handbook 5th edition. Part 4, lots of updates to the system of systems knowledge area and architecting approaches for systems of systems article. And then 2 new articles on systems engineering for us, systems of systems, and systems of systems analytic approaches. Well, I'm saying systems a lot here, shocker. And then we moved in another article from part 8, which is our emerging topics, into part 4 because it's no longer immersion. And then updates to capability engineering and a major update to the mission engineering articles. So part 4 had a lot of work done on it. And then part 6 has some updates to system resilience and resilience modeling. every release, there's always cleanup of other articles throughout the SEBok and additional cross-linking, if you will, typos, the normal cleanup, and a few other terms that get referenced so that it makes it a little bit more engaging for folks. So thank you, Nicole, for plopping in the URL for our SEBok for folks to leverage. And I think now's when we can switch over to more questions from our Menti poll. So it should be a little bit about helping you, having you give us some guidance. So again, there's the Menti link again. Thanks, Nicole, for those that have joined us in the middle of the talk and missed the slide at the beginning. But let me flip over. So in a few words, how do you use the SEBok? And as Nicole said in the chat, if you don't use it, please feel free to share how you might use it, given with what we've shared today. I like how Menti builds the word cloud, if you will. It's always kind of fun. Guide, a reference, insight. I like that one. Pointers. Excellent. I think we're kind of saturated at the moment, or not saturated, that's the wrong word. Gotten to most everybody's input. Informational. There we go. If you could change one thing about the SEBok, what would it be? And if you're really feeling it, you can do more than one entry here. Do publish, as Nicole mentioned online, we do publish every 6 months, so we're always looking for how we can improve. So this is where your feedback is really appreciated. Good question, Bill. So the relationship between INCOSE and our two partners in supporting and continuing the SEBok. I think as we get through here, I'll open the floor to other additional questions here. So we've got a page on the SEBok that we'll point at to there. So we do have a couple of other partners with IEEE Systems Council and CERC. Financial support and guidance. So always looking for more support of SEBok to keep it free and accessible to everyone. Like this last one, keep it a community supported asset. Appreciate your input. I think, let me see here. 9ish have answered. So if you come across any additional curiosities of things, hey, I had this smashing idea about how SEBok could be made more effective for the users that are out there. Please let us know. Again, express your needs, be vocal about it. Tell us it's awesome. Tell us it needs a lot of help. No whining unless you bring cheese, but we do appreciate your ideas of how to make it better. And we'll see how we can make it better over the next years. It's been out there since 2012. We hope it lasts for an even longer time with all of the help. So really appreciate the feedback you have. Nicole, I don't think we have one more slide, or is that the last question? That's it. That's it. Okay, so let me switch back over to my slide deck here. And looks like you guys are putting some of them in the chat already. So what else can we tell you about the SEBok? So I'll go backwards here. I think I'm at the Gary, you were asking about how we have integration between INCOSE working groups and the SEBok. So a great question. At the IW this year, as you mentioned, Natural Systems said they're contributing to SEBok this year, and other working groups also contribute to the SEBok on a regular basis. They do. I would say we're always looking for more engagement. It doesn't have to be at the national working group level. But we also have, with that group, we do have Kevin Orr, who's on Tech Ops within Tammy Katz's steward area there for Tech Ops directorship. And so we do have Kevin, who helps serve as the liaison, if you will, between SEBok and the parts, and then all the individual INCOSE working groups, the 50-ish plus that we have. I think we're up to still around 52 working groups. So that relationship is always appreciated. We do have working groups like the Systems of Systems working group that on a regular basis use the content within the SEBok and then float it around, if you will, for feedback, validation that this is still the latest and greatest. And if there's changes, they'll mark up the articles and submit them, and then we'll update the SEBok. And so through our editorial board, and that works out really awesomely. So I saw there was a comment on the let me get back here. So about see punctual references to research and better validation of original material. That is working with the working groups and other experts around the world. That's how that can be done better. I don't know everything. Nicole and our editorial board, we don't know everything. So we depend on experts and users and practitioners out there in the world to help make SEBok keep it relevant, keep it fresh, and all that sort. The relationship with the stewards was the other question, Bill, you asked. Let me pop over to, I do have the SEBok open. So one of the ways you can always learn about it is, hopefully we have a lot of the questions already answered, but the bookcase, the governing board of SEBok on the stewards, we have INCOSE, IEEE Systems Council, and Stevens Institute of Technology. My apologies, with CERT representing that. Primary funding and resources needed to evolve and sustain this. And so through sponsorship, through these stewards and through other sorts of, through the stewards as we see here, and you'll see down here our sponsors, we have funding that comes in. So that helps pay for our servers, helps pay for the hosting of the SEBok, helps pay for the technical expertise to keep the wiki thing going and doing what it's supposed to do. And then most of the rest of the body of content is all volunteer led, but those stewards up there help guide and move us along to sustain the SEBok. And so Nicole and I report to those stewards essentially, and then help us oversee the editorial board. I don't know if there were any other questions. I would love to hear somebody else's voice though, if anybody would like to ask anything.
Spend a little bit upon the part 2 updates. I saw that there was some system science axioms that were proposed, but I've read part 2 before, and I don't know what kind of new information is going to be available.
Well, I can pop it open real quick. So in the core concepts part 2 article, I believe, and you'll see it this next week. So here's some axiom foundations from system science that are being added. And so here's a sneak peek, if you will, to this article. And so next week, check it out. You'll see it under systems engineering core concepts, and there's a whole new section here from Mobus reference from 2022 that's been added on some of those axioms. So it's not, again, SEBok doesn't create content, we point to it. I mean, we create articles, but so it gets a little bit fun. So here's the reference. I'll drop it in the Zoom chat. But you should see this coming next week.
Within the part 2, there's also a few more diagrams that seem very original, especially on the definitions of systems. And I don't think I saw a reference, and this was like maybe a year or 2 ago. So you may
Okay.
have.
For sure. You're asking some awesome questions, and that gives me an opportunity, and I think Nicole pointed it out in the chat as well. So this Get Involved page. What we do is there are a number of ways, and you're asking great questions, and what we need from you is like these reviewers. We do have a Google form that we encourage you to use to anyone's welcome to review the articles, call out, hey, gaps, missing areas, or critical feedback. Always welcome to help us ensure that the articles are accessible, accurate, up to date, complete, the whole pick your system attributes, if you will, and provide input to any aspect of any article, and especially including recommendations of additional resources that should be included. And then that will be then brought to those authors and those editors and such. And if you are so moved that you have would like to get from not just review, but author some articles or author some sections of them with others, you'll see at many of our pages, you'll see, let me see if I can get in here. I'll just click one randomly. And yeah, and you can always share with Nicole or I directly, but you'll see here's one that has one lead author, but I'm just trying to get into another one, system requirements definition. You'll see multiple authors. So there'll be a lead and contributing authors. And so this is a team sport, if you will. And we definitely engage and encourage that. Gary asked, what was your motivation to get involved with the SEBok? My motivation, well, actually kind of tossed in the beginning about my, I love to learn. And so this is, and I love to learn, but I also find I struggle to read content a lot. And so I know we've got a ton of awesome stuff out there. And so this is one of the ways that it sort of forces me to read in my role as managing editor of the new stuff that's coming out in INCOSE. So it keeps me up to date. It's a little bit self-serving there, Gary. But then I also just, this is as I joked before in when I was tech director of INCOSE, As an extroverted engineer, I look at your shoes. This is the opportunity for me to engage with the community a little bit more tangibly, if you will, and stay engaged. And so I think some of us get started in contributing to systems engineering, and you just can't stop because it's like candy to us, or your favorite fruit or vegetable, probably healthier for us if I think of it that way. But it keeps me engaged in the systems engineering space, if you will. I believe that's all I have for you tonight. And 4 minutes-ish over. Apologies for that. Anything else to share that anyone would like to see? But we're always available. I will be at IS, as I mentioned in the beginning. I think I mentioned that. But I'll be there. I'll be there in Canada, and see you in Ottawa if you happen to make it. If not, the next workshop in California, we'll definitely be there in Torrance. And cross my fingers, hopefully I'll make it to the next symposium across the pond in Japan. I think we are going to be. So thank you for inviting us. Always welcome to keep advertising SEBok, and we thank you for your support and your promotion of the same.
Thank you so much, Christopher. We have really learned quite a bit about SEBok. Thank you for walking us through and comparing it to the INCOSE handbook. All of this information is much appreciated. And I look forward to meeting you in Ottawa, Canada. And so that leads right into our next slide, which is regarding the IS in Ottawa, Canada, that's coming up in July. So if you have been on the fence about whether or not you want to attend, the information is available. You have 70-ish days left. If you can, join us. And I think that's all that we have regarding that particular slide. The next slide is regarding what we plan to do going forward. So the way ahead with regards to this chapter, as I mentioned, SEP preparation courses are planned to start next month. Look for information to come out about that pretty soon, and we'll have that available on our website. We are looking for folks to assist with creating sessions for mock interviews and resume reviews so that we can help those that are transitioning in their jobs. And then we are always seeking to increase our membership engagement. Feel free to reach out to our membership chair, Dr. Mary Burley, with regards to helping us to further engage our new members, keep our existing members engaged and coming out and joining us in our meetings and events. As Tika has mentioned, he is working to set up meetings with our CABs, and so we are looking to be able to expand our engagement with our CABs as well. So feel free to reach out to Dr. Raj as well and join in to help with that if you're available. And any one of the committees, feel free to reach out. We could all use some additional hands to assist in carrying out the work in our system engineering community. We are here to try and help make a difference in this Washington metropolitan area. And so that is all that we have to present and share this evening. And our next meeting is June 11th. And we hope to see you. Bring some other friends, other INCOSE members with you. Talk to you soon. Have a good night. Thank you all for coming out in person. We are looking to have more hybrid meetings. We're trying to pull people out from their homes and jobs and cars, and we're well beyond COVID. So